Hello once again for part 3 of my Let's Play of Endless Legend, using a custom faction based on Wild Walkers. Since I've now done my initial expansions into Soth and Ornis, I shall be essentially just building up my military and my economy. Military just to dissuade these arseholes from attacking me, and economy because in the long term it's your economy and your science realistically wins the game unless you're going for an all-out attack, which I certainly shan't be in this game because I got to make trade not war, so I can't launch an attack if I wanted to. So you hear the exclamation marks telling me AI does have numerous armies milling around, and that looks like Minotaur. Scary. So let's have a quick butcher's here. What I would very much like to do is get this sewer system built as fast as possible. I may just end up buying it out. See, I'm always torn. On the one hand, I want to build up my population a bit. Sack it, I'll just pop that out. On the other hand, you really want production to get the army built up a tad faster. That does actually make a substantial difference to those. It's only got one pop. I'll stick it on there. It's difficult in winter, as obviously the malus to production of food and such makes it very difficult to actually get anything done. Also takes forever for your armies to get anywhere. There is in the top tier of the hero generic traits. I will be getting it eventually. It actually makes you ignore the effects from winter. That's both the massive laundry list of shit that happens to your cities, minus food, minus industry, minus gold, etc. And also means that your armies can ignore the movement penalties during the winter. Since they're done fighting, I should have done this last turn, but never mind. I'll reassign him to there, to my city governor. See there, back up to content. I do need to expand further, but unfortunately I just don't have the happiness. There are other techs further along the tree that again you get extra happiness on the cities, and here you get minus disapproval on cities for your expansions. They are very, very useful technologies to get, especially if you're planning on having a very large empire. But we can only do what we can do, so since I'm definitely going to need 2 more ranged units and 2 minor faction units. I might as well queue them up there. Since yeah, it just takes so long to get anything built in winter. Eesh. I'd like to have the extra pop pick up in just 2 turns. The army can also just meander back there. They can join the garrison. Again, having units garrisoned within the city give extra XP every turn to your city's controller. Here's a new empire plan, 6 turns. I may even be able to afford it. So it's always worth having a garrison. However, you'll notice my quest meant I needed an army with a minimum of 4 ranged and 2 of the minor faction units. However, the maximum army size you begin with is 4. There is a trait you can get that allows you to start with maximum army size of 6, and there are also technologies in later eras that let you add extra, not just to your armies but also to the garrison units within the city. Your capital generally has 2 militia. Expansion cities have a single militia. You can increase those as the game progresses. I'm going to pretend to be interesting. I'll just stare at the screen clicking next turn. Ah, the age of glory. So yes, these rangers become better. I can make various shit, stuff happening and things. This is why I only queued up the one research. You may have noticed earlier there was a bar and there will be a section of rings. Basically, once the thing is completely full up, you then unlock that era's technology. So for this era, the very first thing I'm going to do is meritocratic promotion. Reason for that, as I said, +2 army unit slots. That's so I can have a 6-man army, which is required for the faction quest. I also want my 10-eye walkers, which are big fuck off walking trees. My weapons upgrades. Now I know it seems strange that I'm going so much military kit for someone who can't even declare war, let alone defend himself, but it is an unfortunate necessity. I also want a bit of buildings. I could do some extra food as well. I want these eventually as well. It's been a while, I can't remember exactly what everything is, so I'm just going over everything. Definitely want to be able to make peace if at all possible. In fact, I want highways first though, just to increase my gold income. Food. I definitely want access to those and those. That's 11 technologies. Jesus, I still haven't got any of those either. There are so many technologies and you really want all of them. In fact, suck it, undo all that. I know I definitely want those, so let's just research those. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. That's now going to take 11 turns to do anything. So, as long as the city doesn't starve, everything else can just go straight onto the production. Which I can throw a couple onto gold without massively negatively affecting. As you can see, as I'm moving these, I'm actually looking at those numbers there. 13, that's a total of 20 turns. But winter will there, you can see just fucking thing, just down here, the little star and the 116 means that winter will last anywhere between 1 and 16 turns. Again, later on there's a technology that can make your guesswork a little bit more accurate as to when winter is coming and how long it will last. Coffee, tasty beverage. Well, since they're now near the city, I can actually just auto garrison them there while we build more rangers and go through the endless next turns. Summer is back. It's amazing how there's no spring or autumn, it's just summer, winter, summer, winter. It reminds me a lot of England, really. We've got the hot wet season and the cold wet season, but no matter which season it is, it's always fucking wet. Right, so it's 11 turns till the city grows, 3 turns, but at least I've got some gold, which reminds me, you need to be retrofitted into a much better unit. And they're all going to get upgraded again once I get tier 2 glass, steel and titanium weapons and armour. Not that I can actually do anything with the titanium because it's taken forever to get there. What I might do actually is just move the delvers up just a tad. I haven't got Haunts Village selected just for the extra population, just to speed everything else up a tiny bit. You can have those as well, and we'll just throw down yet more crap on their queue. I should have enough influence to get a couple of tier 1s on my empire plan. Computer's quite finished. Yes, here we go. Excellent. So these so that turned up just in time. If I didn't have that, then these would go from 6 and 12 turns into infinity, because there'd be no more space in the garrison. I'd have to move those out before it would even build those. However, that's not really an issue. What is an issue is really fancy. I've got to start building up these borough streets. Yes, one of these things I took was cellulose mutation, which means I can build a borough district for every one of my population. Without that upgrade, you can only build a borough street for every 2 population. The faction quest requires you to build a minimum of 5 borough districts, so you would need to get to 10 population before you could ever continue. You'll see that when it pops up in much time that is. You can see this is now costing me 60, whereas last time only cost me 20. That's because I now have 3 cities rather than just the one. I'll stick it on gold. I'd like to have science, but I just don't have the influence points for it. Influence is generally more important if you're going to go heavily into diplomacy. In fact, there is a victory condition achievable via diplomacy. I think you need to collect a total of 3,000 diplomatic points. Influence points aren't diplomatic points, but with your influence points you can use them. Again, you'll see this later once I actually start talking to these chumps. But you can close borders, compliment or warn, and these cost influence points, but they do give you diplomacy points. If you build up sufficient numbers of diplomacy points, you will actually automatically win the game. So let's just end the turn. Marching on, marching on. So I do love a 4x game, but I understand how a lot of people find them boring. This one, it has slight timing issues. The beginning part of the game is very slow, it takes forever to do anything, but then later on it becomes a case of things start happening so fast, you get so many resources, so much science. Let's just try and grow these cities a bit. But things start happening super rapidly. So it accelerates massively once you get further into the game, especially if the AI decides to start marching its units all over your shit, getting right up in your face. They do tend to. They can be a little bit shitty like that. So what I'm actually going to do here is just buy out Delvers just to get some extra pop. I should be saving the cash to try to get to. Excellent. More of that, please. I should be saving the cash just to try to get to the point where I can actually start buying heroes, but they're just so ridiculously expensive. You really need to establish your cities and your infrastructure, then just whack a dozen people on gold to realistically afford them. I do love a coffee. Let's got an extra person, which growing 5, growing 6. I'd rather have the gold at this stage of the game. Growing 8, growing 2, yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. This glowy, cheers. Yep, thank you. This glowy thing here is the quest. See, that's a side quest which I probably never get around to. Yeah, there is a quest system. You can get multiple side quests. If you try to parlay with a minor faction, they'll give you quests. Coming from rows give you quests. Then you've got your main faction quest. That is itself in 8 parts. Once you've done the 8 parts, you can then either build the buildings to go for a wonder victory, or do another 5 parts which will give you a quest victory. What it will also show you is that ruin there is telling me that's where I need to go for that particular quest. I shall be moving that way in 5 turns time. Possibly less if I decide to buy out the ended. Oof, 630. It's a bit spendy. Hydra. Look at that, how awesome are they? Yeah, graphics in this game very pretty, but I don't really see many of them because obviously for recording purposes I'm spending a lot more time zoomed in. Normally I just zoom out as far as possible just to keep a good general overview of what shit's going down. Especially since one of the bonuses for this faction is you get to see when other people are moving armies around. It can be quite a substantial edge. Right, the haunted are done. On the computer. As you can see, I'm only on serious. Yeah, I'm already starting to fall far behind. Right, so they can all go into an army. Can march yonder. Then you can, yes, continue building shit and things. I don't want you to build another ranger. Why would I have asked you to do that? 3 or 4 rangers. Must have misclicked something. Oh, I misclicked that. Clearly. Huh? The fuck did I miss one? Well, maybe if you can remember, you can point it out to me exactly how the hell I managed to misclick an additional unit of rangers. That's going to drop my happiness down to 40. Which finds perfectly manageable. Still containing sewer library. Containing sewer library. Yeah, we might actually get some titanium before it becomes entirely obsolete. Hey, more dudes. Yeah, interesting about this is when your population grows, it automatically puts the new population into whichever of these columns the previous one was in, so that's automatically popping people around. Let's just see it in 9 turns plus 30 gold is nice, and you can move the entire lump around by separating them thusly. I quite like the gold actually. I'm not too fussed about population growth. I like the science and I'd like the gold. That one I do need some more peeps. Can I really do some more in there as well, since it's only shaving off 1 turn though. It's not massively worth it. It's going to take a while before I can productively throw those out. I'm thinking and talking when I should be hitting next turn, really. I'm a terrible person. Come on. Double time it, lads. Or lasses. I don't know, they're elves, it's always hard to tell. Explore. Oh, I forgot to assign the hero. Oops. Right, Wild Walker's hero. Forgot. No enemy army, so what will happen here is that they will actually spawn. You can tell they are quest related because they have a yellow shield. You notice that the factions have shields above their heads for whichever faction they represent. So when we met the cultists earlier, they had a red shield, and these dudes have orange shields. Independent or neutral armies have grey shields. Quest related ones have yellow shields, and they will basically turn up and you just have to murderise them to death. And once that's been done, there we go, there's our yellow shields. They are centaurs, so we will meander defender yonder and give them a good kicking. Again, I'll just do a spectate, just because may as well. I mean, to be honest with you, I could just as easily do this manually, but the computer isn't terrible. It's not fantastic at selecting where to go and what attacks to make. I've seen far worse, I've seen some better. It's certainly not as god awful as the Civ 5 AI. Jesus, they were just fucking terrible at combat. But it's just quite pretty to watch. Oh no, yeah, they're getting a turn. That's uncalled for. Mind you, I haven't actually upgraded my horns, so I don't intend on using them for any real length of time. They're there purely to fulfill purposes of this quest. Not quite a decent unit, as you can see. They hit that one and then it bounced over to that one, their chain lightning effect. They're quite decent. I just prefer the treatment as a general rule. They are one of the better minor faction units though. See, I couldn't really have done a much better job myself, to be honest. There are some situations, I mean, the AI doesn't necessarily pick the best defensive spots to sit on, but then this is such an easy fight, it's really irrelevant. And you get to see the pretty elf girls from these indeterminate gender, rather cool looking ghosts. It's a shame you can't spin the camera around, get a different angle. It's possible you may be able to, and I just don't know how. When I actually read through any sort of documentation for this game, I just learnt it as I played. So yeah, they got their asses handed to them. Of course, that's just telling me that there was a siege. Obviously that has gone because I just murderized them. Train of thought. I have no clue what I was saying. Stuff and things and pretty graphics. So talking about the minor faction units, yeah, the eyeless ones are quite decent as healers, and it's nice to have one of those in your stack. Also quite decent purely for their ability to chain lightning bunched up enemy units. Demons are quite cool. They fly and they have chain lightning and they're reasonably tough. As much as I would like to build another Borough Street, I really can't afford to dip into unhappiness again. What I shall do instead, I'll just auto that. That's another army that's been spawned for the quest. Cheers fellas, save me hunting you down. What I might actually do is set up my Tanai Walkers. Big tree dudes. See, that's the only way you can actually get a decent look at them, is by spinning around. So they do look quite tasty. Anyway, set up my Tanai Walkers. I do have tier 2 weaponry available. Let's have a look. It's fairly balanced. It's far more initiative, heavy initiative. I like a bit of initiative. However, I don't have the tier 2 armour or trinkets available. It doesn't matter massively. So I just set them up and tell him to start building a couple. I just build one. So obviously retrofitting them once they've already been built costs gold, whereas simply waiting until you've got the gear saves you a lot of gold. It takes longer to build them initially. There goes all my gold. I'll get around to getting heroes eventually. I'll stop blowing my gold on this random shit at some point in the future. Remember, that faction quest is virtually done now, just 2 turns left. I'm not anticipating them spawning a third roaming army, but it is possible. Let's just see what we can see. Hydra. I love a Hydra. My favourite, well, second favourite creature. My favourite creature from ancient Greek myth. Second favourite mythical creature overall. Obviously, dragons beat everything. There are dragons in this game. In fact, the Draken are Draken people. And they can get ancient dragons, and I think it's the mages get a spirit dragon. You see, Rimor Empire is a city centre and a district to level 2, which requires the borough streets. As you can see, I've started laying them out, but I'm just waiting for some more happiness improvements to come online. Before any more of that happens, I shall send the army marching back over there, and I shall just immediately reassign him to be my city governor. And he has leveled up. So what I'm basically doing is just taking these, because you can't take any higher ones until you've taken at least 1 tier of the previous. So once I've got these, I'll then move over to there, up to the winter effect. The percentage based ones are obviously far more powerful than the flat bonuses. That one is especially excellent because a 24% production cost reduction is fantastic. And again, all these bonuses are obviously cumulative, so that's plus 45% production is incredible. I'll just apply. Yeah. Cheers, geezer. I have been duly informed. Take it under advisement. I'll just do a couple more turns till I get to the next Empire plan, and then I shall call it a day for this episode. So it's a bit shorter than the previous ones were, but never mind that, eh? Let's just keep that army marching. It's a bit of a pain in the arse having that army all the way over there. They'll do as a temporary measure. Eventually I'll be having far larger armies garrisoned and a few standing ground, just because the AI's sudden but inevitable betrayal is completely inevitable. So I can now afford 2, so I shall keep the gold and get some extra science, because yum science. Again, the primarily way you win these games or lose them really is your tech. You know, if you get too far behind, they will just absolutely stomp you. The difference between tier 1 and tier 2 arms and armour is massive. The difference between tier 2 and tier 3 even bigger, and 3 and 4 bigger still. It's even if you're trying to go for a peaceful way through victory through diplomacy or economy or something like that, you still have to put a high priority on military, simply because if you don't, the AI will just roll over you. So that's that done. It's turn 60. I shall call this a day for this part. Thanks for watching.